and theater. Sorry, just eating my Oreos. Fruit. Banana. Welcome back to episode 4 of Einstein Education. Today, we're going to be talking about sugar and fruit. Awesome topic to know more about, to just get a better understanding so that day to day you can just make better decisions towards, why do we eat fruit? Fruit. Why do we eat sugar? My favorite. All right, well, let's break down sugar versus fruit. So with sugar and fruit, sugar is primarily glucose, correct? All right. Fruit is made of fructose. And what's the big difference? Well, with sugar, an Oreo, it goes right to the bloodstream. Right to the bloodstream. Right? It's a single malt. It's, we could consider it a single. We call it a simple sugar. Whereas this, we call it, fruit is different. We call it more of a complex because it's made up of two sugars, glucose and sucrose, right? And fructose is only found in fruit, right? That's what we deem it as because it is a little bit different, right? So when we think about these two, fruit is a unique sugar compared to just regular sugar because the one thing that fruit has is, fiber. Unless you're using a juice. So then juice, less fiber. Now why is it important to understand the two differences? Well, it's because when we eat things like sugar, it's going to immediately affect our bloodstream. Okay, so when we eat sugar, let's think about what sugar does to the bloodstream. All right, so this goes, boom, into the bloodstream, okay? And what does that immediately do? Well, for one, it's going to surge your sugar levels, right? Which in turn is going to surge energy, because what energy is metabolism. So all of a sudden now you've given your body something that's very easy to break down, because it's just one glucose, which means your metabolism is going to kick up real quick and your energy is going to increase fast, right? You think about fast nutrients that you want in your body. So, when would sugar necessarily be good where you want to increase energy levels really quickly, right? Because the counteract is when this happens, energy that tends to skyrocket up is going to skyrocket down, right? So all of a sudden now you're going to be followed by some crashes a lot of times, right? Is when you typically see you eating sugar food. So here's what happens to your bloodstream if you're eating lots of sugar. It goes up and then down and then up and then down and then up and then down and up and then down. What you're going to experience high versus low energy, right? Which we don't want, because you're going to get like maybe an hour and then you're an hour, right? And then you're an hour and then you're an hour, right? We want to try to avoid that. So some of the best times to be eating sugar are going to be followed after, some kind of intense physical exercise. Because what physical exercise does, and I'm not talking about being active, right? Because we'll break this down a little bit more. Physical exercise uses stored glycogen. Now, glycogen is just a simple word for stored energy via carbs. So as we eat sugar, We use it immediately for energy, right? We use it for energy. And then the remaining goes into storage, either in the forms of glycogen or fat. Now, if you guys want a whole entire video on just this topic here, I can do that. But, you know, for right now, we're going to keep it simple and broad. These two, 1 and 2. So when we do physical exercise, this is what we use here. So this is a great time to have sugar after exercise, because since we deplete these energy stores, we want to get them back up to normal. Right now, it depends on your goal. Right? If you want to muscle build, these need to be full all the time. If you want to trim down and lose body fat, you need to play around with this level to see where you can attain a good level of body fat, due to the fact that when glycogen stores go down, body fat tends to be used as energy. So it's an important thing to understand depending on what your goal is. Right, so sugar is a great time to use after exercise, sports, and sometimes at night. And at night, because sugar does release dopamine, which is a chemical in our brain that helps us to be calm, happy, and that's typically will help associate. And another one that it helps to release is serotonin, which does help to make you sleep better. Sleep, okay? And typically a lot of people tend to start eating more sugar because it does release dopamine, which boosts your mood. So what we tend to see with all this is sugar is a lot of times associated with mood. Bad mood, more sugar. That's what we see people do. When you're in a good mood, sugar levels tend to go down. And by sugar levels tend to go down, I mean you eat less of it. You eat less sugar. Because there's an immediate correlation between, if I eat sugar, it's going to raise dopamine, which is going to put me into a better mood. So you do not want to, when what ends up starting to happen with your brain is you start associating these two. When you're in a bad mood, you eat sugary foods. And when you eat sugary foods, it affects your mood, which is a bad relationship to have. But that's the general outline of what sugar can do for your body. Okay. And then the next one we want to talk about is fruit. Right. Fruit. Now, fruit's a little bit different because with fruit, we have fiber, plus we have 2 sugars together. So because of this, slows digestion and absorption, which equals more consistent energy levels with fruit. But with this also, it's stored in the liver, not your muscles. And then what ends up starting to happen is, depending on how much fruit you're eating, when the liver's full, then it just turns to fat. And it just turns to fat immediately. That's how fruit's associated. You know, so I see all the time people eating so much more fruit when they want to start eating better, right? Which is good, because the one thing that fruit does give you, not only fiber, but also nutrients, right? So these have no nutrients in them. It's just sugar. Whereas this apple not only has fiber, because it has substance, but it's also got a lot of nutrients in this bad boy that gives your body. So this allows you for function and processes, right? Fruits have certain nutrients that you can only get with them that help your body with specific functions and processes. So you need fruit. And the fiber is really good because it's going to slow down the digestion absorption, which is going to give you more sustainable energy. And then the fact that it's 2 sugars means that it's not stored directly in the muscles. It goes to the liver where it gets broken down. And then from there, right, some of the sugar gets broken down immediately for use, right, like I said. But for the most part, then the rest, instead of getting stored in the muscles, gets stored in the liver. And then the remaining gets stored as fat. So eating some fruit, you know, 2, 3, 4 times a day, a banana and apple days is phenomenal. Right? And you can do that at any times of the day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, post-workout, because those are times where you're going to give your body some sugar, but it's also going to get you fiber, so it's going to give you sustainable energy levels. And on top of that, you're getting nutrients from it. So it's helping your body with specific processes, maybe muscle building, fat loss, focus, digestion, right, going to the bathroom. So that's kind of the overall scheme of what fruit is. And then I kind of want to break down a little bit, just a tad between the difference between fruit and sugar compared to glycemic index, which this just basically means that depending on the kind of fruit that you eat, if it's a banana, apple, orange, kiwi, pineapple, or just the kind of sugar, it's going to have an effect on the overall glycemic index, which just means the effect on your sugar levels, right? So there are certain fruits that have a high glycemic index, basically meaning when you eat that fruit, it's going to affect your sugar levels very quickly and be digested and absorbed into your bloodstream very fast for energy. And then there's other ones that have a little bit lower of a glycemic index, right? So most sugar is always going to be high glycemic, but fruit tends to have differences where some are high like kiwis and some are low like apples. So apples are something that you hear good any time of the day, whereas kiwis are great for sports, after, you know, exercise, because you need that quick energy back. You don't want to, after that event or after that huge intense workout, you don't want to be dead and wait 3 hours to recover your energy levels. You want to get them back quick. So it's important to note the differences between the fruit and regular sugar, how it's affecting your body, especially with the blood sugar levels through the glycemic index, and be able to make better decisions. Because one thing that I see people do a lot is when they want to eat better, they just increase their fruit. But regardless, what you're still doing is you're still just providing your body here with sugar, right? More sugar. But now you're also giving it some fiber and more nutrients that it needs. So you will start to feel better. You will start to see some changes, but minimal, right? There's a lot more that is involved, but I figured this is a great subject to know a little bit more about. That if you're interested, like the video, comment, let me know, so that way if it's worth taking the time to do another more in-depth video, if I know I have just at least one person more interested, then I'll take the time. If not, I'm going to move on to a different subject. Right, so that is a really important thing to know. So why don't we talk about, you know, some, you know, overall solutions as to how we can do that, okay? All right, so fruit and sugar is a good, bad. Both have their place in the world. You know, and for most people, I think it's understanding just if you have a better understanding of the two, that something like fruit is better to eat
Although it is a sugar, it is a carbohydrate, it will get stored as fat if your body doesn't use it. It is more nutrient dense. It's got more fiber, right? And it's also stored and used in the body a little bit differently than just plain old sugar. So, good to, big takeaways is just be conscious of glycemic index. How does the fruit affect my body as well as the Oreos? And what are my goals? If my goals are to gain muscle mass, you want to be eating both. You want to be eating both. Because as your muscles are used in your training, they're going to need both. They're going to need both kinds. A lower middle glycemic index, carbohydrate like this, or more of a high, right? Like candy, sugar, because it's going to fuel your body in a little bit different ways, right? And you can use the fat. It'll be good for you, right? Your body will want the energy. So just understanding that difference between higher glycemic index and lower glycemic index. If you want to know more specifically, ask me. I understand different kinds of foods that play those effects on your body, like what fruits are better this time of day, what fruits are better these times of day, and you can start splitting it up if you care to, right? And understanding how something like a fruit versus sugar affects your blood levels, your blood sugar levels, and how that correlates to your energy levels and body fat, right? I mean, I see very commonly that people that want to eat better just tend to start cutting out this kind of sugar and just eating more fruit. But there's two problems to that. Fruit and the sugar are not your enemies. It's where your blood sugar levels are at and your body fat stores. So if all of a sudden you cut these out, but then now you eat more of these, it's basically like not even getting rid of these because you're still consuming more sugar, more fructose that your body has to process, which is going to just be turned to body fat if it doesn't need it. And for most people that if you're not rigorously training or in sports, it's good to have some fruit. It's good to have a little bit of sugar, right? But for the most part, you don't need it. So what your body doesn't need, it's going to get rid of or store, which is why you're seeing body fat levels go up, right? And the other problem with getting rid of a food like this is this has a very high dopamine response in your brain, which is a very addictive chemical, and your body associates very quickly that when I eat this, I'm going to get that sudden surge and that feel good, and your body craves that. So all of a sudden now, and that's exactly why people that just aren't as aware of things like this, and that's why I want to make these videos, is when you take this away and you try to substitute with more of this, you're now cutting off dopamine in your brain, which you're not going to like it. You're immediately going to be affected. Your mood is going to be affected. Like I said, sugar is directly affected with mood, which is directly affected with dopamine. Okay, so if you cut dopamine out of the brain, it's going to change your mood. And then all of a sudden your mood's going to change what kind of foods you want to eat. And now if you're trying to force yourself with fruit, from going from here to here, well, now all of a sudden what's probably going to happen is it's not going to last, so your mood's going to go down, and your dopamine's going to go down, but you are going to get a little bit better feeling. So it's important to just know that, if you're trying to eat better or lose weight or lose body fat or gain muscle, if you're on the gain muscle track, eat fruit 2, 3, 4 times a day. If you want to be more specific and maximize your nutrition, well, that's what we offer, meal plans. I'll use my expertise and I'll show you exactly what to eat, when to eat, to maximize the progress you make. Right? And have some sugar. It's going to be good. It's going to give you dopamine. It's going to boost release. It's going to feed your muscles quickly and fast, right? And then it's going to store what it needs as well, because your body does need glycogen stores. It's what it uses during training, right? And having that overall effect. But if you're trying to lose weight, well, then you're going to have to be very more picky, right, about foods like this, because if you're already addicted to things like this, or you already love them and crave them all the time, well, it's because your body is craving that sugar spike and it's craving the dopamine, which is gonna uplift your mood. So there's gonna be a period, right, kind of like a gray zone, where if you limit this, you need to find other activities quickly that gives your body the dopamine it needs, that it's used to keep your mood consistent, if that makes sense. So giving it fruit, your body fruit, it's not gonna change that, right? It's another form of dopamine. So, and that could be, you know, a number of things. So when it comes to losing weight, you need to be more aware of, what am I eating right now? How does it affect my blood sugar levels? What's my activity? What am I physically doing? Am I actually exercising and using the muscles to burn this stuff down to where I'm replenishing it with protein, so therefore it builds lean muscle, right? And do you know where your glycogen levels are at right now, so that you can calculate more of your body fat and how much is getting stored and how much you need to actually eat, right? Because it's just very easy to overeat, which isn't a problem, right? Food's good, we want it, but we have to have a good relationship with it, or else it's going to control you. It can control you. You think you're strong. I promise you, the mind and body together are very, very strong, powerful things. And you won't get the results that you want. So if you like this, give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. We're going to be doing this weekly. This is episode 4 already. It's been fun. Got some good feedback. I want to let y'all know this month already, we're getting ready to release our first incentives for our monthly members. So, you know, we have an option every month, $35. Totally try it for free if you've never even, you know, done anything with us. It gives you a complete mobile app access with us, nutrition tools and tracking, you know, tailored workouts to whatever gym you're able to go to or at home. And every month we're going to send out incentives, so we're getting ready to send out a bunch. We're going to be sending out shaker bottles and some free supplement samples. So we're looking forward to that, guys. I hope you learned something from this. Hope you like it. We'll appreciate a thumbs up. You know, let me know what more you want to see, or else as I keep whatever I see out there in the world right now, in my own community, is what I'm going to talk about. Because hopefully it starts to connect with some people, and that'll start to build a snowball effect overall. And this is just good stuff to know about and be aware of in life, because it will help you with energy, focus, motivation, you know, having the physique that you want, you know, because life's too short, you know, not to be happy with everything you have and how you look and feel, and accomplish things you want. So we'll see you next week.